Let's talk about Michigan, shall we? More specifically, as we grow closer to the end of the portal cycle, uh, how has Michigan done in the portal cycle up to this point? Have they filled their needs? Have they screwed themselves with their losses? I'd really like to get into that. I think overall, this particular portal cycle has been underwhelming when it comes to big names and flashy players and things of that nature. But I do think it was productive for filling areas of need with guys who are seasoned, coachable, and are at least mostly familiar with the system already. You look at guys like John Henry Daly, who, yes, he's coming off of a very significant injury, and I'm not diminishing that in any stretch of the imagination. But if this guy gets back to what he was before his injury, he really does have the potential to be like the next great Michigan edge rusher. And I did a video on the stark similarities between him and Aiden Hutchinson. You look at guys like Jamie French, who is unproven, does not really have any real experience, but only a year removed from being a very highly touted 5-star prospect, who I think can really help this passing game. You look at guys like J.J. Buchanan, who I believe might be the most underrated signing. It might be like the sneaky best signing that they made this portal cycle, because no, he's not. He doesn't have the raw athleticism of like a Colston Loveland, but he has that same style. He's got the length. He's got the route running. He's got good soft hands. He is a hybrid, and when you have a hybrid tight end and wide receiver kind of combo, it makes 12 personnel really hard to defend against. So I like those types of moves. There is a few real and legitimate question marks, though, that I still have with this team, mainly in the front seven. I think that this coaching staff prioritized the retaining of players more than anything else, and that's fine. Because a lot of the guys that we retained, like a Zeke Berry or a Jair Hill, or I know they're working on Eno Etta, and I think it's getting close. But a lot of the guys that we retained, Jake Garnera, a lot of these guys are better than anyone we would have had in the portal anyway. So I look at the retentions on this team, and I kind of put that in the same category of portal signings, even though it's not. But when you got legit athletes and when you got legit starters that enter the portal and you can retain them, that's honestly just as big as getting new faces with talent in here. So you retained multiple starters, right? That's the most important thing. They're already familiar with the system, with the school, with the culture, with everything. Retain them. That's a good first step. I don't like that Michigan was very slow to the party coming out of the gate, right? You had a lot of teams like Indiana, for example. They came out guns a blazing, signing crazy good portal additions, and they just didn't let up. Michigan, I wish that they would have taken the approach of, yes, let's retain our players, but we can do that and get new guys in here at the same time that can help. Because none of the guys that we retained were pass catchers. And that was one of the biggest need, arguably the biggest need going into this offseason. And so you wait, you kind of sit on your hands a little bit, you wait, and you get a couple of quality pass catchers, but not until later. And you did miss out on quite a few good names. You missed out on a Nick Marsh. You missed out on a Quincy Porter. But that's, beggars can't be choosers. I still like the guys we brought in. I'm just not convinced that they're going to be the dominant contributors that we might need them to be. J.J. Buchanan, I'm a little bit more confident in that one. Jamie French is yet to be seen. They've talked a lot behind the scenes about Jamar Browder and Jacob Washington and Channing Goodwin. They call Channing Goodwin Mr. Reliable, but he dropped like 4 balls last year prior to losing his starting job to Andrew Marsh. So my biggest concern now is the front seven. The defensive line still does not have great depth. It's really imperative that they actually do retain Eno Etta, because I think Eno Etta is probably a starter on this team, and the depth is very much lacking. We lost a lot of front seven guys. We lost a lot of DBs. Linebacker, though, is easily the most depleted. You bring in Max Alford, pretty good. You bring in a FCS kid, Christian Pierce. These are not world beaters. These are not guys that are guaranteed starters. I don't personally. I don't think Max Alford is a starting caliber linebacker. I think he's a rotational piece. So we got to get in some of these other guys that have come in for visits. We already missed out on Cade Uluwave. He went to BYU. We still got a chance with the Pitt kid. So I'm hopeful that they'll do something prior to this window closing, because we don't have a lot of time left. So they're going to have to move with a purpose. But the second level is really worrisome to me right now. And the defensive line depth, at least, is worrisome to me. I have no problem with the additions of Jonah Lea'ea or guys like that, but I think this defensive coaching staff is going to have their work cut out for them. They're gonna have to coach these guys up a lot and get a lot of dudes up to speed ASAP, because at this rate, we can't rely on Michigan to do the right thing and start really going pedal to the metal with recruiting these guys, because they were late to the party. And when you're late to the party, you get slim pickings. So now it's slim pickings right now too. So overall, I'm not worried about the team. I'm a little worried about the front seven, and I'm a little worried about maybe the depth at wide receiver, because there's a lot of unproven talent. But I do think that this offense especially is primed to be a significantly improved unit. And I think they're going to change up the scheme overall to fit more of what Michigan has been successful at in recent years, which I think is vital. Defensively, I love the addition of Chris Bracey. That dude is an absolute dog. He is a day one starter. I do have him slotted in. I'll sneak peek or whatever you want to call it, but because I'm going to do a video later once the portal season closes. I'm going to do a video on my projected offensive and defensive starters. I have Chris Bracey in there at strong safety. So, I looked it up. He moved around a lot, and he's built more like a free, but the Memphis played him more in the box. So, and even nickel packages at times. So I love that addition. I love the retaining of Zeke Berry and Jair Hill, and the addition of Smith Snowden, who Smith Snowden he's gonna be inserted day one as your nickel back. So I think we have a really solid defensive backfield. The safeties are improved. We lost a lot of them. We lost both Metcalf brothers. We lost Brandon Hillman. That sucks. But we got a really good replacement in Chris Bracey, and I think there's going to be a lot of guys like a Jacob Oden, for example, that might step up and be real contributors on that defensive back end. So, the defense, I think, might take a small step back. The offense is going to be dramatically improved, I think, honestly. Cautiously optimistic, obviously, because you never know. But I do think the offense is going to be noticeably better. You pair that with the fact that there's 3 new starting special teams players, which are not the sexy picks. It's not the picks that anybody's going to write home about or make long form videos on. But it's a thankless job to be a long snapper or a holder or a punter or a kicker, because when you're doing your job, nobody really talks about you. But you best believe when you don't do your job, you're public enemy number 1. So it's important to have these guys. We have to replace Dominic Zavada. So I'm good with the special teams guys. I think that this has been a really good, successful offseason so far for Michigan. From all the portal additions to the recruiting class to this just night and day different head coach or coaching staff is just it's like I'm scared to get excited for next season because we have a daunting schedule. But like I am though. I'm cautiously optimistic. And if Michigan goes 7-5, then they go 7-5. I'll give Kyle Whittingham his buffer year, right? But I think that this team is gonna have enough talent paired with good proper coaching to maybe get to 9-3 again. You never know. We've seen crazier things in college football, so I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I think this portal cycle has not been the best it could have been, but I definitely don't think it's been bad either. We got good depth in some places. We retained starters. So, real quick before I go, again a reminder: there is a Facebook page as well, same name, same logo, for the love of college football. If you wouldn't mind maybe following that, I follow all of the common college football outlets that everybody knows about. So maybe I can be your one-stop shop for all the information, so you don't have to follow a whole bunch of other pages. And as always, if you like the content, consider subscribing, liking, sharing, all that good stuff. It's free, and I really appreciate it. But with that said, I'm going to get going. Go Blue.